joined with Karl.hoeschen, who is going to be working with me on demonstrating some really cool scripts that we have here at Valiantys. We discovered in one of our engagements that there was a lot of cleanup that was being needed to be completed for them, and we didn't really have the time to fully commit all the resources to do that. So we needed to find creative solutions to doing this in a timely and swift manner. So we came up with a bunch of scripts that we were really excited to show you with today. And I'm going to pass it on to Karl to walk you through two of them, and then I'll finish up with the last two.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Karl, also a consultant here in Valiantys. And so the first script that I'm going to demonstrate is being able to en masse add yourself to project permissions, because the first script that we're going to run with the objective of cleanup is mass archiving issues beyond the JIRA limitation of 1,000 issues at once. But to be able to do that, we need to give ourselves permission to see all the projects and then also to archive issues in each of those projects. So you could go permission scheme by permission scheme and manually add yourself to every single one of those. Or now that it exists, you can use this. So where I'm going to go first is just going to show you that in our playground instance here that people are free to play in, is we have a group already set up. It's going to be our Valiantys team group, just so you can see where our destination is. So we're going to be adding the permissions to this group where Tyler and I are already in. And so that's just acknowledging that there's some pre-config that needs to be set up before you run these scripts. You have to make a group, add yourself into it, and then you can start doing these scripts. So then where I'm going to go next is the code repository. So we've got a bunch here, and the one we want is the one for granting a project permission, project-specific permission. And I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to do this over in the browser for that site. Make sure I copy it. All right. Now I'm going to hit F12 on my keyboard, bring up this.
So Karl, quick question.
Yes, sir.
When running this script in the console, do you have to have it on a certain page, or can you just leave it, or can you run it on any page in the site?
It can be anywhere. And make sure that I've already done this, but you have to type in allow pasting, and then it'll let you copy and paste from elsewhere. Otherwise, it gives you a warning message saying, be careful to when you're copying scripts from elsewhere that they're not nefarious, malicious, and that you've also tested them. We have, so I did allow pasting before this, and so now it allows me to paste the script into here, and then I need to remember to go to the top, and then I need to put in my group name, which is space and case sensitive. And then for this one, we're going to be doing browse projects, correct, Tyler?
The browse projects is actually up to date. The one that we'll need to do is archive issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking, because we can't do anything without browse. So
here, Karl, when changing the permission, because the permission this doesn't just do archive issues, it also does other permissions project specific as well, such as assign users or assign issues, things of that nature, edit issue, things of a whole bunch of random different things. How do we format that permission?
Well, so and then to be clear, it's not going to do all the permissions at once. It's going to do whichever one permission we type in here. And the formatting is all capital letters with an underscore between the words. So we've got archive underscore issues in here, and then you can change it to whichever permission you want. Just make sure to spell it right, have all capital letters, and have an underscore between the words.
Right.
All right. I've got this in here. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to run. It is going to say everything is failing. That's something that our engineering department is working on, but don't be discouraged by that. It is working. Now, while this is running, it's going to take a couple of minutes because this is a smaller instance, this being the playground. But I can't do anything on this tab that would then kill the script. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a duplicate. Actually, I already got this one open, but I would duplicate the tab and then work elsewhere. What I'm going to set up in the meantime is I'm going to hop over to Script Runner. I'm going to set up the second job here. And so I said job to feed out that we're clicking on jobs, and I'm going to make a new job.
So what does this job do?
This is going to be the actual work that we want to do, because what we're setting up right here are the permissions to be able to do what we really want to do. And once that's in place, then over here, we will actually be able to archive all issues at once to whatever JQL we put in. And so we are going to be putting in the JQL of any issue that hasn't been updated for a year or more. And so I've even got it right here, issue archiving job, periodically archive old issues from a JQL query. We'll call this one playground cleanup because that's funny. I will choose myself as the user for here. I will pick just on Saturday nights that it will do that. And we'll throw in the JQL. And then one thing that's very important that we learned is you must include the and not issue type subtask. It will fail if you're just doing the hasn't been, last time it was updated was a year ago or more. Because, well, what did you learn about that, Tyler? Why is it that the subtask, if you don't have the subtask differentiated, why does this fail then?
Yeah. So upon further investigating, we found that when you archive an issue that has a subtask connected to it, the subtask will follow the issue regardless of whether or not it has been resolved or not. So if you archive a issue that is, for example, that's been out there for 2 years, but there's a subtask that's still open, that subtask will subsequently be archived as well. So if you archive the main issue, the subtask is going to follow suit, and vice versa. So if we restore the main issue, that subtask will again be restored as well. And so we found that when running this job, the query was actually trying to pull all this stuff and was kind of erroring itself out because it was trying to find the JQL query was working, but whenever you went to actually run the job on the query, it would error out because it's trying to find issues that
It was
or
chasing
issue
its own
types.
tail, to say.
Exactly.
It was chasing its
Yeah.
own tail.
Yeah.
It couldn't find the stuff that it had already archived. So then
Right.
it would just fail. So that's why we need to say just look for things that are not subtasks, because then the subtask will just naturally follow on their own.
Mhm.
Let's check now. It looks like this is still running. Well, okay, it should be done soon. Other things that, or other scripts that we have, I can showcase that are in here. The next one is going to be identifying empty projects and then archiving them, because what's going to happen next is, we're giving ourselves a permission to do this, then we're going to do this. But what's going to happen then is a whole bunch of projects that just had their issues in them archived away. Now we're just going to have a bunch of empty projects sitting around, and you can manually archive them one by one. But why would you want to do that? Why not run another script and get it done super quickly? And then I would say, even in a very large instance, about how long does it take to run everything on
Right.
like our client's current instance for these three operations of permissioning, archiving, and then archiving again?
Yeah. So the longest item that took the longest, was the script runner job, and that was only because it had to sift through nearly 750,000 issues, and archive them. Obviously, projects are going to be significantly less, but and I see the script's finished. But the identifying the projects, empty projects script did not take very long. I would say maybe 5-10 minutes on a site that had over 4,000 projects. And then the quickest one was actually the archiving specific project script, which archived I think just over 400 projects in like 3 minutes. So it was incredibly swift, very fast. And it shrunk the amount of time that it would take to do all of this by days, as opposed to it taking, over a week to manually go through and archive all of this stuff one by one. So,
Yeah, just doing the permissions, because this hadn't been released yet, so I was manually adding us to the archive issues permission to a whole bunch of projects, and that was a tough half a day, and I didn't even get through it all. Is there anything stopping me from hitting the run now while we continue talking? Because we're about to run this
um,
job.
the script is done, I believe,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, we always recommend double checking the query in the issue, the search issues of Jira. We have already done that with this script, and it matches what we're looking for and what we were expecting. And the really cool thing with Script Runner is that with these jobs, you can schedule them. And as you can see on the interval expression spot, this is slated to run whenever it's enabled to run at 10 p.m. on Saturdays. Um, and you can change that to whatever you wish. And it's really great for maintaining regular governance and stuff. So you can run it now to have it immediately start doing this stuff, and which Carl just did. And whenever that's done, you can hit update or save where that add button is, and it can be a regular part of your routine maintenance. And that will take a while, but if you want to double check and make sure it's still working, you can copy that JQL query and put it in the search issues in a separate tab. And you'll see at the bottom the results are they just sort of slowly start shrinking.
Super cool. So we'll search for it now, and then I will hand the sharing over to you, and then we can check back on this just to see what the count is going to be.
So, yep, 6647 as opposed to it being, I think it was originally 7,000 or so. But yeah, like I said, this is the longest process of the whole thing. Again, once you do it the first time is always going to be the longest, right? So when you routinely are archiving old issues that match your company's data retention policy, it's going to be a lot quicker each time. But yeah, it'll make its way down, and then the jobs will in the jobs tab you'll see that it has been completed, and yeah.
All right, your turn, sir. If you're
All
ready to
right.
demonstrate the final of the three scripts, I'm going to stop sharing
Okay.
and hand it off to you. What
All
is the
right.
last script that we're going to be demonstrating today? Because we're cleaning up a whole bunch of stuff. That's going to leave
Right.
us with probably a bunch of empty projects.
So we've got um, two more scripts left, actually. We got the identifying the empty projects and the archiving the empty projects, the specific projects. So what we'll do is we will copy the first script and get that just on our little copy board. Come on, there we go. Okay. So it will be a little inaccurate just because we're going to go ahead and proceed while the script runner job is going on. Mainly just because sake of time and everything, but rest assured, oh, it's still running on your screen, so I won't be able to see it, but you can still search for the issues here.
And we can always cancel the job, just for the purpose of continuing the demonstration.
But we do have definitely have projects in here that are empty for this specific reason. So but yeah, you'll see we're down to into the 5,000s now, so that's still definitely running. But I get to show you the fun stuff of identifying projects. that are empty. So what we'll do is just like with the group permissions for projects that are specific, we'll go back into our console by hitting F12. And this is a little bit different in that you will have to include a little bit more stuff. For example, the site name, which is for this site, this playground.xvm.net. And then also your username, which is tyler.allison. And then your API token, which you can easily acquire through your profile. And looks like I need to add there we go. And so what this is going to do is it's going to search the entire and identify projects that are missing issues. There are no issues in the project at all. And whenever it is done, it should kick out a CSV file of the projects that are empty, the project ID, and the project key. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit run, and you'll see here it is doing exactly that. This should not take very long because you can see it's moving at a pretty steady pace. And when it is done, you should see somewhere up in here at the top right of your browser a download. Yep, right there. So it'll say empty projects.csv, and let me pull over what the result is if I can get it to abide. Okay. So these are now the empty projects because as you may recall, we are running a job through ScriptRunner that is archiving old issues. And considering we have a lot of projects that have old issues that haven't been touched in over a year, this is the list. So what I like to do is identify all of these. So you'll see we've got 60 projects because line one is always the header. So we have 60 projects that are completely empty. And that is a problem, especially if you are wanting to maintain governance. So what I do, and this gets us ready for the second, our last script, is I will copy this column and I go into ChatGPT and tell it to separate these numbers by commas. So and just kind of do this and let it run, do its thing. And so that'll take a second or whatever. It's still going to be quicker than typing it all out. But when that is done, I will bring up our, well, while that's doing its thing, I'll bring back up our code repository. I'll slide this over for now. And we'll go ahead and collapse this. And we'll do this one here. So we'll copy this script here. And we will go back to our site. We can clear out this console because the job is already done. Paste this in here. And we will need to go back through this and put our username, token, site, all that wonderful stuff real quick. Again, that should not take very long, especially if you just, my advice is always just open up a note app and have some of this stuff already typed in, so you could just easily copy and paste it in, especially the API token. Because you use that API token quite a bit during this process of archiving not only the issues but also the projects. Okay, so we've got. All right, so Chat GPT is done with separating all of these by with a comma. So Chat GPT has done it again, and we're going to highlight these placeholder projects just so we know exactly where to put things. And we're just going to paste this in, and yet again we will hit run. And you'll see it is very swiftly going through and archiving all of those projects. And that was the last project. So what we'll do now is we'll just go into, we'll go to projects. We'll look at archive projects, and we'll refer back to the spreadsheet here. We'll look at, let's just do NFB Scrum sample project. We'll just copy that and see what shows up if we decide to cooperate. All right. So we'll hit paste, and you'll see here it is definitely showing up in the archive projects, the archive date, and yours truly archived it. And now our instance is that much cleaner. We have projects that are a year old, that have not been touched in a year, are now gone. They are easily able to be restored and everything, but that is the way the cookie crumbles.
Once you know the nuances and you know where the resources are, this can save a lot of time. And that's why we're making this video.
Absolutely. Well, Karl, thank you so much for presenting with me, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
This was fun.
Awesome.